This is Mehek Bukhari, a 24-year-old TikToker who thought that her fame was enough to get her out of murder. She was living in the UK with her mother and father, who were originally from Pakistan, and they were a Muslim household.
From the UK, I never heard of her.
Due to logistical reasons, Mehek ended up graduating from St. Margaret's Ward Catholic Academy, where she went on to study fashion.
How does one go to a Catholic school and becomes a murderer?
Newcastle College, moving on to Manchester Metropolitan University. But before she finished her degree, she would drop out of university, because during this time, she started blowing up on social media. Between Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, the highest number of followers is 120,000 on TikTok. And as her fame increased, so did her
ever heard of her in my life.
24 years old, Mehek had more money than her own parents did, so she started adding them into her videos.
Oh, she's doing better than me.
Ended up playing a large part of her internet persona. It was
an
elite relationship that brought in more brand deals. And so they went from being a lower class family to one that was never worried about money anymore. She bought a new Audi and would brag about her new luxurious lifestyle. Her TikTok videos were the latest dances mixed with luxurious lifestyle content. What was blatantly obvious though was that Mehek was totally self-absorbed. And it seemed that her mother not only supported her persona, but also engaged in the hype of it. While Mehek was popular, she didn't have very close friends, and her mother filled that gap in her life.
Oh, shut up, big
this also led to her mother being part of her social circle, and mingling with a much younger crowd. And in 2019, Mehek's mother, Ansreen, met a 21-year-old named Sakib Hussain. She started flirting online and slowly but surely made some sneaky visits to hotels.
Nah, you right, Charlie, you right.
Mehek knew of the affair, and however disapproving she was, it wasn't enough to stop her mother with the lines of motherhood and friend now.
You know this story?
This affair would be an on and off rollercoaster ride, but after 3 years, it seemed that Ansreen ended it for good. Sakib was not happy about this. With a bruised ego, a broken heart, and an unwillingness to let her go, he begged and pleaded for her attention. And it ultimately led to nothing but more fame for the man who turned to a more threatening approach.
Bro, I'm actually bro. I don't know about this.
He was bitter about the relationship. He felt like he'd wasted thousands of dollars on Ansreen and it was time for revenge. He said he would send Ansreen's husband the very intimate photos he had of her if she didn't return his affections or the money he had now lost. Having a Muslim husband, she knew that the consequences of her actions could have led to something very serious, more than just a divorce, especially within the Muslim community. And so Ansreen ended up telling her daughter about the threats. However, this is where things got very dark very quickly, as in desperation, Mehek sought out a way to get Sakib's phone. If Sakib had no photos, he had no threat to hold over her mother, and if this got out, not only would this affect her own fame and reputation, but it would also end in the breakdown of her family.
Yeah,
so
religion
it was not just
and
her mother's problem. So Mehek reached out to her friend, Rekan Karwan, and the two began to form a plot on how they would corner Sakib and get his phone. Rekan requested the help of other friends, so he had the numbers to carry out the plan. And after getting a group together, the plan was to offer £3,000 that Sakib claimed he had paid while seeing Ansreen. And once they were within his reach, to corner him, get his phone, and wipe it clean of any evidence of the affair. However, the plan did not go down this way at all. Sakib had wisely asked his friend Hashim to go with him. And when the two got there in the early hours of the morning at the arranged time, they saw that there were a bunch of people with ski masks on in the only two cars in the Tesco car park, where they were supposed to meet with Mehek. This obviously set off alarm bells, and they decided to leave as quickly as they could. But unfortunately, Mehek was not going to let this go and give chase. Both cars followed Sakib and Hashim. Sakib was now in panic and called the police. He was desperately shouting for their help and saying he was
died in a car crash.
Leon, driven by Rxzz, and an Audi TT with Rekan as the driver, had caught up with them and had them boxed in. Hashim drove through red lights to escape the threatening situation, but other cars did not let up. But then the very tragic call ended up with a hysterical scream from Sakib to Hashim. Send it, send it, send it. Sadly, the Blue Sea Leon had bumped into them, trying to ride them off the road. The call then went silent and very emotional. Then a scream before deafening silence. The car with Sakib and Hashim had been ridden off the road into a pole, and the car caught alight, with Sakib and Hashim paid with their lives. Mehek and company did not even call in the accident. In fact, they turned around and actually drove past on their way back. A little after 1:30 AM, a truck saw the car on fire. He blocked off the road with his truck and reported it to the police.
Wait, whose car went into the road?
Oh, and the car caught alight, with Sakib and Hashim paid with their lives. Mehek and company did not even call in the accident. In fact, they turned around and actually drove past on their way back. A little after 1:30 a.m., a truck saw the car on fire. He blocked off the road with his truck and reported it to the police. In the meantime, the two cars had switched drivers, with Mehek taking back her Audi TT and Natasha taking back her Seat Leon. Then they were caught on CCTV at 2 a.m., where it's presumed they were planning their cover-up story should they need one. Little did Mehek know that there was actually CCTV footage of the parking lot and the road where they were chasing Sakid and Hashim, all confirming the call made to the police. And it didn't take long for the police to trace the blue Seat Leon registered to Natasha. The next day, the police waited for Natasha to leave in her car, boxed her in at the petrol station. Before the police could get
wow,
her,
they really left a
Natasha
full
had placed
box,
a call
man.
to Rxzz to warn him. Rxzz was calling Mehek but never got through, and so
I need a snack. Rory, cut it out. You know what to do. Hey, the YouTube comments were so proud of you last time. Oh, bro did actually cut it out. Okay, this might seem very random, but I got an ice lolly, a tango freeze, blueberry ice lolly, and smoky bacon crisps.
So at 8 a.m., the police arrived to
It
Mehek
may
and
seem
answer his
random to
phone.
you,
And while addressing
but
the
man,
men
is
at
it
home,
perfect
Mehek saw the
for
missed
me.
calls and called Rxzz back, and then quickly messaged her mother, who was in the same room, to let her know what she needed to say. As lie after lie spilled from Mehek's lips, the police did not buy a single word. Mehek claimed she had a social media event in Nottingham.
Where were you? Where was that?
So we stayed here and then we went straight to Nottingham.
Right. Okay.
Nah, lying is crazy.
Right.
So the police brought both her mother and daughter to the Leicester police station, where they were arrested and questioned. Mehek was then caught off guard once the police played the call to her, and then she broke down in tears as her plan fell apart. Even after being caught, she accused the deceased Sakid of being manipulative and a liar, taking no responsibility for her part in his death. Out of all of those involved, only Mohammed Patel went into the police station himself and told the police the full story, step by step, of what actually happened that night, including the Sakid and Hashim offered the road in a conversation between Rxzz and Rakan on the phone while
Bro,
they were
he
in the
said that they
chase.
butched
This would
them
be
in,
important
man.
as it revealed intent. Mohammed Patel was cleared of all charges, while the rest were all caught and arrested. On August 4, 2023, 18 months later, Mehek and her mother were found guilty of 2 counts of murder. The drivers were also found guilty of murder, while Natasha and the friends were charged with 2 counts of manslaughter. And whilst this was pretty brutal, most of it took place off screen. The next victim wasn't as privileged.
Chai won't come. Whoa. Oh, now it's coming. You see it.
911, what is the location of your emergency?
4748 France Court.
R.I.P.
Is this the police or medical?
My boyfriend is dead.
What?
Get on the line for the fire department. Do not hang up.
Sorry, Rxzz. Just tell me exactly what happened there.
But the YouTube comments are gonna be like, oh, why is Rory sucking on it so much? Like, bro, last time, mother truck, I opened my mouth for a single second while I'm eating, and the whole comment says, oh, learn to eat with your mouth closed. Like, bro.
My boyfriend and I were playing last night, and I put him in his case and we were playing, like kind of hide and seek kind of thing. So I fell asleep, and I woke up, and he was dead in the suitcase. So I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Dead in a suitcase.
No, I pulled him out of the suitcase.
He was in a suitcase?
Yes, and I fell asleep.
Right, is he breathing?
No.
I need you to get him on the floor, flat on his back for me, okay?
I did. I tried giving him CPR.
Yeah, okay.
Purple.
Okay, listen to me. Lay him flat on his... Okay, ma'am, listen to me. I want you to lay him flat on his back for me on the floor.
I did.
Okay.
He's stiff and purple.
Okay, man, that's fine. We're still going to do compressions on him, okay? Place the heel of your hand on his breastbone, right in the center of the chest.
Yes.
Put your other hand on top of that hand.
Just by looking at him, you can tell.
Okay.
Please! Okay, he just gurgled.
This was a call from 42-year-old TikToker Sarah Boone and her then boyfriend, George Torres Jr., who got
What
caught in
the
a situation where her boyfriend was stuck in a suitcase.
He doesn't even look like a real
Boyfriend,
human.
George Torres Jr.
What the hell? Why is his eyes so big and black? It looks like he should have Cartoon Network.
Who got caught in a situation where her boyfriend was stuck in a suitcase after a drunk night. On February 24, 2020, the next morning,
This clip sounds so weird out of context.
while the rest were all caught and arrested, found guilty of 2 counts of murder. The drivers were also found guilty of murder. Well, no, and whilst this was pretty brutal, most of it
Can
took
it
place
just come
off-screen.
up?
The
Come
next
up.
victim wasn't as privileged.
Chai won't come. Whoa. Oh, now it's coming. You see it.
Ahmed Patel was cleared of all charges, while the rest were all caught.
You see? But how you gonna clip it out of context if it's me pushing up an ice on you?
Sarah Boone called 911 to report that her boyfriend was dead. Sarah claimed to have nothing to do with the death. She and George got drunk on wine the night before. They thought it was a good idea to play hide and seek, and during their game, George tried to hide in a suitcase as she zipped it up. According to Sarah, in her drunken state, she completely forgot about George and the game, went upstairs, and then fell asleep. This left George in the death trap suitcase, where he eventually succumbed to suffocation and died in the suitcase. When Sarah woke up, she couldn't find George, and after a brief look around, she vaguely remembered the game, opened the bag, and found his dead body. This is of course according to how Sarah tells the story, but after a deeper investigation, the story of what actually happened unfolded. George had a history of domestic violence, and Sarah had reported it several times, during which time Sarah either dropped the charges or bailed him out herself. It was a love-hate relationship that was clearly toxic. The story that she fed the police was so unbelievable and had so many flaws, so it's no surprise that the police's frowns led to some investigations, and what they found only confirmed their suspicions, because believe it or not, Sarah was not even arrested the day she reported George's death. The reality is that she truly saw it as a drunken night ending in a fatal mistake. She felt that she didn't need to be accountable for this. Around the same time, this TikTok video went viral. While thousands of people thought it was just a funny prank on her boyfriend, this was actually torture for the man inside, and his last terrifying moments alive. This TikTok of course belonged to Sarah, and police found the footage of George asking, or rather begging, to be let out, while Sarah sat back saying, "For everything you have done to me."
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
Fuck you.
Sarah.
Fuck you.
Sarah.
Stupid.
Sarah.
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
Sarah. I can't fucking breathe, babe. Seriously.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
Sarah. Sarah.
Nah.
Sarah.
This on video is insane.
Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
That's on you.
Sarah, I can't breathe.
It's on you.
Sarah.
Bro, who on TikTok was like, oh yeah, just the girl put the man in a suitcase, he's locked in there, he's begging to get out, and like, yeah, the TikToks are just like, yeah, it's just a prank. Like, bro.
Regular ransom. Might want to get video for it extra. Because I got this.
Sarah.
Regular ransom.
She sounds so drunk. Oh, sucking ice is just so good.
I can't breathe, babe.
Oh. That's what I feel like when you ching on me.
Sarah.
You.
I can't breathe, Sarah.
Yeah. You should probably shut the fuck up.
Sarah.
However, the police asked her to come to the station for
Nah,
some follow-up questions.
that is
and this
crazy.
is when they searched her phone and found the footage that Sarah claimed she didn't remember taking. In the interrogation, Sarah was not tearful, and talks actually about how they were working on their problems in their relationship, and that it made her happy that they were facing things together. She describes that particular day as a good one. She only breaks down when she says she misses him. Sarah explains that they were together too much and that she wanted space. She also tells the police that George's ex-wife was a
Same
monster,
mums.
and that he battled to get
I
to
want
speak to his
a
daughter.
Fanta fruit
When
twist
asked about the
slushy.
timeline of the events that evening, Sarah said they had done a puzzle and then listened to music, and then around 8 p.m, they started to play hide and seek. She also says they were running out of places to hide.
Alright, if I ever get a girl, remind me to never play hide and seek with her. If I got ever asked to play hide and seek, I know she's psychotic and I'm leaving the house.
She said they had the suitcase out because they were intending to donate clothes, and Sarah admits that she only had access to her phone with facial recognition and a password.
How tapped you gotta be to hide in a suitcase? Get out.
The police then ask if she remembers taking a video, and Sarah says no. So then they show the video, even though Sarah says she didn't want to watch it and is not really sure of how much more she could take. The police explain they can take the video as it is, but it's an opportunity for her to explain. At this point, the video is pretty damning evidence, and after telling her that they even have footage of her flipping the suitcase over, with George continuing to tell her that he can't breathe, Sarah then told the police that watching this is killing her inside. They address the fact that there is no hole for him to breathe, as Sarah previously claimed that there was. So Sarah immediately defends herself, saying that she is not malicious, but the video shows her saying "f*** you," and the police stop her, saying that she was laughing at him in the suitcase and swearing at him is malicious. At one point, George tells her he can't breathe.
Oh
and
yeah,
Sarah
David.
says, "I can't breathe when
That's
you cheat on
cold.
me." This is no doubt malicious. George is pushing the suitcase trying to get out, and Sarah is claiming she never zipped it up all the way. Sarah now realizes that she is in deep trouble. She keeps telling the police that she had never intended to fall asleep, and that she thought he was crying wolf and asking to be let out. Later in the interview, they address the fact that one bottle of wine shared is not enough to be that drunk. So Sarah claimed that she wasn't drunk, she just fell asleep expecting him to come up soon. And Sarah's story just kept falling more and more apart as the police continued pushing her, addressing each of the flaws in her story. Sarah would continue to stand by her innocence, saying that it was not intentional or malicious, but eventually Sarah would be charged with second-degree murder, and her sentencing date is December 11th, 2023. This murder didn't take much to figure out. Sarah clearly had some pent-up anger issues, and with George safely in the bag, so to speak, she got her power back and let her business get the best of her. It's all about the motive, and the motive behind this next crime is even more shocking.
Oh hell no, ain't no way.
This is Gan, with over 5 million followers on TikTok, who still paid a price for his fame, but it's clear that he did not deserve
I feel like
to
I've
die.
seen his face
See,
before.
Gan was born in China. He was cheerful and friendly, and as he got
Nah,
older,
I'm thinking
he
of a
developed a
streamer.
drive to travel. He was so motivated that he would work hard and save up to achieve his goal, and before long, Gang was booking a ticket to Africa. It was the first continent of many that he hoped to visit, and while in Africa, he would try different foods in each country and loved the culture. He traveled all over African countries, but when he got to Zambia, he felt like it was home. It was the place he wanted to be. He fell in love with the people, the culture, the landscapes, and their food, and it wasn't long before he met Margaret, a local lady who would secure his life in Zambia. The two would make videos of the local hidden places to go, and both would explore the food types. This would
Imagine
grow not only
David,
their
that would be mad.
relationship, but also their views. At first, he started a vlog to keep a record of all the adventures he was having in Zambia. But the more he shared, the more he realized that his adventures were not only well received, but he was now offering a sneak peek into the life that most people could only dream of. So he created a TikTok account called Fatty Goes to Africa, which gained more and more views daily. He was always clean, fun and friendly in every post, and most of his viewers were from China. The more places Gan covered, the more views he would gain, which again
It's
led
so
to better
crazy.
pay, and so Gan's TikTok became his main source
Let's
of
see.
income. And since he loved what he did, Gan became very good at it and handled his fame with grace. He never deviated from his clean, fun demeanor, and people could always count on his posts to be interesting, upbeat, and entertaining. As he was now living in Zambia, he got to know the other Chinese residents. Most were influencers themselves, and this led him to connect with all of them. He would involve them in his adventures, and he would feature in theirs. Gan was earning a great deal of money from his media.
I feel
He was
like I've
turning over
seen
his
him
footage to
before.
professionals to upload and manage his content. The Chinese group would become a success in the work they did, and they all fit in well. Apart from one man, Feng Sengyun. His persona always came across as very awkward and perhaps a bit more darker in nature.
Who's this
He didn't
apple
really
head?
fit in with the fun, happy, and
Look at
lively
that, some
group that had now
strawberry.
formed. For most, it was
Yeah.
rather obvious, but Gan, as head of the group, didn't seem phased, which kept him in the group. Gan and Feng had even developed a good friendship, and he would try to encourage Feng, and it seemed as though
How
there
do you
were
not
no
know about
problems
this
between the
story?
two. However, regardless of the fact that Feng had the opportunity to learn and grow within the group, he stuck to his own content, which was dull, awkward, and very bland at best. The elephant in the room
Jumpy.
is that Feng's following numbers dwindled while Gang's views were growing rapidly daily. And so soon, the tension between Feng and the rest of the group grew, and Gan had to make the call to let Feng go. Feng and Gang had stayed friends, but jealousy makes you ugly, and sadly, Feng allowed his jealousy of Gang to consume him. And finally, in 2022, Gang and Feng were no longer as close as they had been. It
killed
was
him.
clear that Feng's personality was not a good fit for Gang. Gang had actually gone back to China to see his friends and family. Feng claimed he had asked Gang to buy him a phone in China and had given him the money for the phone, which was the equivalent of about $1,000.
900 likes and
he also claimed
almost
that not only did Gang
2,000
not buy the
comments.
phone, but he also didn't pay him back. Although it affected Gang's followers, Gang held his ground, kept to his happy, fun demeanor, and ignored the claims. He didn't let it bother him, but this would only fuel Feng's jealousy, and soon Feng was aiming all kinds of accusations at Gang. One claim was that Gang had sent him COVID-19 infected food, and another was that Gang had sent his crew to trash his home. Feng was living in Nepal at the time, and Gang was still in Zambia. These were just baseless accusations. But this was growing into something so big that Gang had no choice but to post that the accusations were not true and they had nothing to do with it. He also set the record straight, saying that he had not received the request for a phone or the money for the phone. Gang hoped this would put an end to the rumors, but Feng only pushed in further with more accusations. But at the time, Gang wanted to get on with his life. Everything was going great, and he wanted to pop the question to Margaret and buy her an engagement ring. Margaret of course said yes, and the two continued with their lives with a new hope and prospect of their future together. Of course, Gang would continue to do content, and this all meant he still needed and wanted to travel. Eventually, Gang decided that he would take a few friends to Nepal, as it's right next to the border of China, and had the potential for many amazing adventures on TikTok. There was new food and a totally deep and rich culture. It was a trip Gang was looking forward to. And as they walked the streets exploring the food, one of these friends actually mentioned that Feng lived in Nepal, and Gang responded quickly, "Yes, I know, I have come to beat him up." It was a fun and sarcastic response. It was a way of making light of a dark situation.
I've seen this.
But sadly, this was the tipping point for Feng. Feng hit the streets in search of Gang, and when he found him, he took his revenge while Gang was still live streaming.
Yep. I told you I saw this guy from a live stream. I knew it.
At first, it didn't seem real. Feng just went right up to him and stabbed him in the chest, his back, his abdomen, and in the head. One of Gang's friends quickly tried to stop Feng, but Feng then turned the knife on him, stabbing him in the stomach to defend Gang. The friend then retreated and ran away, with blood pouring over him.
Feng's wildin', bro.
Tried to run away before he got stabbed too. Gang then collapsed in the street while live streaming, and you can hear him screaming, clearly in shock.
Feng's wildin'.
All the while, the
Overabused.
either scattered in
Jesus.
fear or stayed on and filmed what was left of Gang's life. On one recording, you can clearly see Feng hanging around, cursing Gang in Chinese and waiting for Gang to die. Gang was asking for help by pointing at their phone, but no one reacted. Finally, the one uninjured friend returned to the scene, and upon seeing Gang in a bloody mess, he quickly called the police. By the time the paramedic got there to help, it was too late for Gang. He had lost so much blood, and even though they did take him to the hospital, he was announced dead on arrival on December 4th, 2022. The friend who got injured by Feng was able to assist in the police's investigations and would make a full recovery. Feng was arrested for the murder, and what was very obvious in the case was his lack of regret. He was proud of his revenge and made no apology for it. Feng actually stood his ground and said it was self-defense, as Gang had sent his crew to trash his home. However, this was never proved and was by no means a reason for murder, so Feng would receive a 25-year prison sentence for the murder of Gang, but this would not bring back the fun, leaving his followers and Margaret without Gang. And it seemed at one point that Feng had actually been released, and followers wanted answers here. However, after a further investigation into this, it was confirmed that Feng is still in prison, serving his sentence. The family would post one last TikTok for Gang. It was a sad and final closure to what Gang had created. His followers would grieve as much as Gang's family, as he was well loved amongst the Chinese audience. Gang's friendship with Feng proved to be fatal in the end, and it leaves you wondering how different things would have been if he'd never met Feng in the first place. Now, the next two videos don't really seem to have that much depth to them. Here's a video of a Romanian man who's doing a typical cringy TikTok dance. And a few minutes later, he posts a video of him walking through his house, showing it all off, ending the video with just a little chuckle. Now, if you came across these two videos, you'd probably skip past them. But behind the scenes, something horrific had just taken place. But before we go into what's actually happening here, we need to go a few months back. Now, the person dancing in this video goes by the name Kusei Al-Jundi. He and
someone's in the bin.
his close friend Mohammed had been sitting in a car driving around. They had constantly been working together to figure out a way that they could become rich quickly. They knew that having a regular job, getting paid the average Romanian salary, was never going to get them
Apparently
anywhere.
there's no depth in it
They wanted to
though.
be rich, have Lamborghinis, go to the finest restaurants, fly first class around the world.
Let's hear it out
though. They
though.
wanted to do it soon, to enjoy their life, before they got too old to never enjoy their money. And they also knew that a random business course was never really going to do it for them. So they figured that the best way to do it was through this lady. Meet Louise Cam. Louise was a 71-year-old lady who frequented a local restaurant named Yassim Sham. She was a social butterfly.
Holy leak. All right, David.
Who was 25 at the time while dining one day. This sweet old lady had many friends and was loving and caring, but she was also very naive and vulnerable. And after many conversations, Aljundi would soon realize that this social butterfly wasn't just your
Now that is a
regular old lady.
decent guess.
Louise owned 2 North London properties. The first was a £1.3 million house in Barnet, and the other was a shop with 3 flats in Willesden, the same area as the Yassim Sham restaurants. These 2 properties put food on the table for Louise as she rented them out. But when Louise met Aljundi, he seemed to come across as a very well-connected man, an ambitious man as well. And Aljundi explained to her that his girlfriend, Maria, was also a millionaire, allowing him to have some leverage, and gave the woman a reason to talk to him.
Why is this
He also
female
appeared
just
to own
like
2 cars, and he had
rich?
started a strong friendship with Louise, and she, being a social butterfly, was just happy to have a new friend. Now, over the first few months of their friendship, Aljundi wanted to learn how her and her family had made so much money. He thought by connecting with a millionaire, he would also become rich himself. And so Aljundi began dropping some enticing seeds, where he'd soon mention his interest in some local properties, and eventually stated that he would like to buy her houses using his own assets and his girlfriend's financial means. And to Louise, this was a very exciting opportunity. He'd eventually offer £4.6 million for the 2 houses, and that meant Louise could settle her mortgage and provide 2
it my
new
man
homes for
for
her
himself?
sons, one of whom was disabled. The excitement of the opportunity gripped Louise tight. She never once stopped to question the legitimacy of Aljundi. They'd been friends for months, and she was only focused on how much the sale could benefit her family. Little did she realize that the person she was speaking to had no assets and no rich girlfriend. Taking advantage of an overly
You know Samar. That's a Nico Samar fan?
trusting old lady, Aljundi managed to convince Louise to sign her properties over to himself as a gift in order to avoid paying property tax. They sought to make it legal, but the lawyer's approach refused to assist, as it was clear that this would be to Louise's detriment, with the lawyers advising Louise to take the normal route. But
I
she
know one when I
trusted
see
Aljundi.
one.
They'd been
I know one
friends
when I
for
see one.
months,
Yeah,
and she
Nico
was
the goat, he
desperate to
followed me,
help the
dummy man.
disabled son. However, whatever money was transferred to Aljundi from Louise's bank was stopped, as the banking service also flagged the transfers as suspected fraud. This led Louise to lie to her own bank and make transfers to Aljundi regardless. And by mid-July 2021, Aljundi had everything he needed for Louise to sign for both houses in his name. But there was a catch.
What the hell?
This time, Louise insisted that she meet the millionaire girlfriend before closing the deal, or she would never sign over these houses. It was at this point that Aljundi took his deception to the next level. He and his close friend Mohammed, who worked as a delivery man for the restaurant he worked at, proposed a plan that would benefit them both. Aljundi arranged to meet Louise with the promise that Anna,
Yo, I need another
supposed
eye Sully though.
would then join them at one of
What
her
I
houses
miss?
to
Oh,
start
you
some
missed a lot. You holy smokes, you missed a lot. Guys getting stabbed over views. Guys getting in car crashes and dying over views.
finalize the sale. So Louise
And now you're
happily
finna see
obliged
this.
and pulled into the driveway, hoping that this lengthy sale would finally go through and she would be freed from this whole ordeal. As she walked into the house,
Oh my god,
meeting with
she got kidnapped and put in a bin.
Aljundi and another whom she didn't know, perhaps an attorney, they maybe spoke a little, but not long enough to question the whereabouts of Anna. Muhammad then sprang into action. He used a hairdryer cord and wrapped it around her neck. The shock rippled through Louise's body as she realized that she was not only outnumbered and outmatched strength-wise, but she had also been betrayed by the man she trusted the most. Within minutes, Louise Cam's body lay lifeless on the floor. Aljundi then felt a rush of adrenaline, and
I thought they said there's no death in this video. I mean, no, in this story.
elevated joy as his plan to obtain a home was now complete. The only last hurdle was to remove the body and stage a pending holiday to cover their tracks. But they could sell the car and live off the profits in the meantime. Aljundi and Mohammed then used a mobile wheelie bin to put Louise's body in, which they had wrapped up in a
So my man's first thought is to do a TikTok.
Mohammed and Aljundi actually took the time to make a TikTok of themselves dancing, boasting about the house.
What
and
a
mocking the wife of
dummy.
Louise just minutes after her murder took place, which makes this video just so horrifying when you know the context of it. And it was after this video that Aljundi then used a cell phone and messaged a select few people, stating that she was going on vacation. However, the messages were very cryptic and really didn't sound like Louise. The two left the house, taking Louise's black BMW with them, all within 20 minutes of just meeting her. The car was then sold and the money was used to buy new clothes. Al-Jundi told mutual
God
friends
damn.
that Louise had taken his money and left the country. Al-Jundi then arranged to collect the wheelie bin and have it stored at his family home, where it was later found by police, who had been on his tail all this time. The DNA on a glove and a plastic bag in the bin that was linked to Al-Jundi and Louise's blood was then found on Mohammed's jumper that he wore that day. After the family was suspicious enough and the police found this evidence, Al-Jundi and Mohammed would quickly be captured, with the judge sentencing both to 35 years of life in prison, with the court claiming that this sentence had no bearing on who took Louise's life, as both went with the full intention to kill her. The judge further stated that what they did was purely out of greed. Louise's son were left in safe disbelief that their mother was put in a rubbish bin, which was the height of disrespect. And as the judge set the 35-year sentence, both Al-Jundi and Mohammed would cry, tears shed far too late. In the following video, you'll see a girl known as Khaleesa Williams, also known as Pinky. You can see in the video that while Pinky is filming her video, she ends it off by rushing
I remember this story. I remember this story. I remember this.
the camera as she's distracted by something. Little did Pinky ever realize that this would be her last video.
I know this story. I know this story.
Thousands of followers were about to witness something from a horror movie.
Yeah, this is
Why,
crazy.
we first need to look at who Khaleesa Pinky Williams actually was. Pinky
I
was
remember
a
this
typical
story.
Gen Z 16-year-old girl who found fame on TikTok. She lived
This
in
happened when she
Atlanta,
was
Georgia,
16?
and attended South Atlanta High School with her boyfriend named Kiri Brown.
No, I remember the ending, but I don't remember the actual story, so I'll keep watching.
Now, Pinky really didn't stand out from most people. She was just a normal high school girl. There was nothing particularly special about her or anything weird about her. She just lived her normal life like any other 16-year-old girl. But because she felt unseen, living just like the others, she would use TikTok as a way to express herself. In the midst of the pandemic, Pinky would post daily videos, dancing to the latest trends, and gradually grew her audience. And while she started gaining a TikTok following, she would be supported by her parents,
TikTok's
April
most of
Smith,
7
and her
moments.
stepfather, Romney Savoy. Both
The
parents
channel's
wanted the
Moon
best
Crime.
for Pinky. They knew that she felt purposeless at high school, and they wanted her to explore her dreams with passion, making the best of her life. They truly believed that one day she would become an influencer for a living, and her parents would make sure that Pinky's dreams came true. And as Pinky continued her normal life, Christmas would eventually roll around. And while Pinky was enjoying her Christmas breakfast, her best friend Infinity called. Infinity sounded super excited and invited Pinky to a party taking place downtown. However, when Pinky approached her parents with this, they were a little hesitant. A party 30 minutes away on Christmas Eve, it wasn't exactly how they'd imagined the day would go, but Infinity's parents offered to pay for an Airbnb to stay in for the night, and the two promised that the party was for girls only. Infinity's mum even said she'd supervise, and that there were no boys allowed, which seemed perfect for a 16-year-old high school student who just wanted to have a girls' night out. As Pinky begged and begged her mum to go, Pinky's mum's mind started to change. She knew that Pinky didn't have that many friends. She'd had a horrible long year of COVID restrictions, and knew that this would be one of the only parties she had the entire year.
Nah,
so to make
this
her
is
daughter proud,
deep, bro.
She finally changed her mind and sent her daughter off to the party. But Pinky and Infinity had different plans. For starters, the party was suddenly moved from an Airbnb to the Hyatt Regency Hotel. Infinity's mum booked room 722 for the party at about 4 PM and took them to the hotel. She then weirdly left them all on their own, so the party was actually not supervised as she had promised to Pinky's mother. Red flags were
Why
starting
did she
to show,
leave?
but nothing too weird. This just seemed to be a normal high school party. A few hours passed and 8 o'clock struck, and Pinky's mother would call. And Pinky would reassure her mother that everything was just fine, forgetting to mention that she was now in a hotel and that Infinity's mother wasn't
I guess, but like, why is the person that's supposed to be supervising dipping?
there to supervise. She only mentioned that the party had not started yet. Eventually, after a night out of partying, Pinky returned to her hotel room by midnight with Infinity. And while the two were talking, Infinity received a call and left the room, saying she was going to the front to meet others that were to join them for the party again.
Nah, that's a setup. So, okay, if Infinity's going, why can't the other girl go too if it's the girls that from the party? They could continue to socialize, though.
This left Pinky all alone in the room. With the moment alone, Pinky would think this is probably the perfect time to get another video in. Her passion was TikTok, and she was destined to become an influencer for a living. So why not take the time to create another video? And so she started showing this video. And while filming the video, twerking to the trending Hit a Lick, Pinky ends the video very quickly as she's interrupted. The video was uploaded to her TikTok account, suggesting that she'd have a moment to finish uploading it. The video went live midnight.
It ain't easy to upload a TikTok as well, you know. You have to click next, 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 post. It ain't even easy to post like that.
On the 26th of December, and this
How
date
she have that
marked
much
the
time?
last anyone ever.
It ain't easy to post like that. When was it ever that easy? Maybe that one update where it just said post at the bottom. You know, we never know.
saw or heard from Pinky, except
Give it a title too. Now I don't think I had a title. I'm gonna be honest.
Pinky showing
me check.
this video. And while as she's interrupted, the video was uploaded to her TikTok.
Nah, I didn't have a
December
title.
Individual. And that person interrupting Pinky in this video was Kiri Brown, her boyfriend at the time. The two were talking when Kiri got a bit too frisky and tried to have sex with Pinky. Pinky was definitely not in the mood and pushed him away, but her boyfriend wasn't accepting no for an answer and attempted, possibly in a drunken stew, to sexually assault Pinky. Now luckily she was strong enough and managed to actually fight off her boyfriend, but this enraged her boyfriend, who then drew his gun out of rage, threatening Pinky. Now we don't know the details of this moment, but it seemed like Pinky resisted until Kiri squeezed the trigger and shot her in her pelvic area in retaliation. About 15 minutes after her TikTok video was uploaded, Infinity and Pinky's boyfriend were seen carrying Pinky's limp body off of the elevator, screaming for help. Kalissa's been shot, crying and praying that Pinky could survive this horrific moment. The two performed CPR and did their best to help as Pinky
It's on video.
continued to try to gasp for air. But unfortunately, it was too late. The gunshot caused Pinky to bleed internally, and paramedics declared Pinky's death at 12:23. It was only 8 hours later that anybody called Pinky's mother to inform her that her daughter had died. And it wasn't anyone from the party who called. It wasn't Infinity's mother or even the paramedics. It was the mortuary. Pinky's mother hadn't even realized that the party was moved and just cried out in pure horror at the news. The police then took Infinity and Pinky's boyfriend to the station for questioning, where the boyfriend quickly admitted fault, confessing that he had shot Pinky, explaining that he never intended to kill her and that he completely lost control of himself due to the alcohol. He would serve only 1 year in prison for this incident, a very small payment for taking the life of this